Now we move on to our first news. U.S. President Donald Trump has confirmed that he will meet Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea in 2 weeks' time, saying that he expects a very successful meeting focused on trade. Speaking in Washington, Trump has said that the discussions will center on tariffs and on rebalancing what he described as years of unfair trade practices. He's also emphasized that the hopes for a fair deal, but the talks could still be called off if either side decides to step back. The meeting is expected to take place on the sidelines of next week's APEC Summit amid ongoing tensions between the world's two largest economies over tariffs, technology, and market access. Let's listen in to what President Trump has said.
Example, I'm going to see President Xi in 2 weeks, going over to South Korea. We're going to meet in South Korea. We're going to talk about a lot of things. They want to discuss the fact that they're paying 157% tariffs. It's a little higher than they thought. And we're doing very well. I think we're going to do well in that negotiation. We've done well, as you know, with Japan, with South Korea, with Europe. The European nations got together. We made a deal. And it was all based without the tariffs. You could have never made the deal. I'll tell you what, tariffs equal national security. And again, I have a great relationship with President Xi. I expect to be able to make a good deal with him. And I want him to make a good deal for China. But it's got to be fair. For years, they were making $500, $600, $700 billion. $700 billion. And we'd be making nothing. It was a one-sided, honestly, we built their military. We built China's military with the money that we lost for so many years getting ripped off. So now we're going to have a fair deal. I think we're going to have a very successful meeting. Certainly there are a lot of people that are waiting for it. Maybe it won't happen. Maybe it won't happen. Things can happen where, for instance, maybe somebody will say, I don't want to meet, it's too nasty. But it's really not nasty, it's just business.
Now for this discussion, we welcome Dr. Tomohiko Taniguchi. He's a former advisor to late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us again. Good to see you. Doctor, now that we see this news, Trump has been calling or looking back at the deals or the trade between China and US and calling it unfair. What do you think are fair in Trump's point of view?
Well, he's obviously looking precisely at the trade imbalance, the mounting trade imbalance actually between China and the United States. But he also knows that it's not something that you can remedy overnight. As he says, as Mr. Trump says, the meeting is going to be surely successful because the two leaders from China and the United States have finally got together and exchanged smiles. But it does not necessarily mean that the trade imbalance seen from the United States is going to be remedied anytime soon.
And how could the outcomes of, if it were to happen, we don't know for sure, but the Trump-Xi trade talks influence the broader security dynamics between US and China and particularly in Asia-Pacific region?
It is risky if the two leaders, China and the United States, don't meet. I think on a regular basis, those two leaders must meet with or without differences of opinions and the views about their economies and the world. So as the first step, I think it's a welcoming development for the rest of the world and for the rest of the Indo-Pacific region.
And why do you say so, Dr. Taniguchi, considering the intertwined nature of trade and national security, what risks and opportunities are in this high-stakes summit?
Despite what's going on between the two nations, the United States, Japan, and other nations have already started to change the course by investing more onto their own soils. For instance, Japan has chosen to invest more in its semiconductor industry in Japan, and the United States is doing the same. So the next couple of years, this is going to be a set pattern. And the trade talks and the summit meeting between the two nations, between the two leaders, will affect very little what's going on in this part of the world and in a greater world.
Now, Dr. Taniguchi, allow me to bring Japan into this picture. How might the outcome of U.S.-China trade talk impact Japan, its economic strategy, and its role within Asia-Pacific?
Right. The outright trade war, quote unquote, between the two nations should serve no one's interest, including Japan's. So it's in the interest of everyone, including the Japanese, to see that the trade frictions between the two nations, the United States, Japan, will continue to be somehow under control, somehow managed. And so long as that's the case, it would not affect that much the ongoing situation, which is already worsened because of the tariffs that the United States has imposed upon other nations, including Japan.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tomohiko Taniguchi, for joining us and sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now we move on. U.S. President Donald Trump is scheduled to travel to